Have you ever looked at your savings account and thought, wait, that's it? Months, sometimes years, of saving diligently, cutting corners, skipping little luxuries, all to grow a pile of money that barely moves? It's frustrating, isn't it? Here's the part nobody really talks about. Savings accounts aren't designed to make you wealthy. In fact, for most people, they're doing the exact opposite, and the banks know it. That's what this video is about, a quiet little system that's hiding in plain sight. It's not illegal, it's not even a secret. But it is the kind of truth most banks would prefer the average person never really stops to think about. So stick around, because by the end of this video, that small pile of cash just sitting in a bank account it's going to look very different. Let's start with a simple question. Why do people save money in banks in the first place? Security, safety, convenience, and of course, interest. That magical little bonus for being disciplined and not touching your money. Except, that bonus? Yeah, it's not so magical anymore. Take a good look at the interest rates most savings accounts offer. In many cases, it's less than 1% per year. Some might offer 2% or even 3% if you meet special requirements. It feels like free money, but when everything around is getting more expensive, rent, groceries, even your favorite cup of coffee, is that tiny percentage really helping? Not even close. Here's where things get interesting. There's this quiet little enemy eating away at savings day by day. It's invisible, and it doesn't make a sound. It's called inflation. Imagine someone is pouring water into a glass labeled, "Your money," but at the same time, there's a small hole at the bottom of the glass. That hole is inflation. And even if water keeps coming in those tiny interest gains, more water is leaking out than going in. Every year, the money saved in a regular bank account actually loses purchasing power. It might look like the same number on a screen, but what it can actually buy is shrinking. Now here's the plot twist. Banks are fully aware of this. The moment money is deposited into a bank, something fascinating happens. It doesn't just sit there. Banks take that money and, wait for it, they lend it out. Yes, that very same money is used for personal loans, business financing, mortgages, and credit cards. And guess what interest rates they charge for those? Not 1%, not 2%, often 10% or more, depending on the product and the customer. So let's get this straight. The bank is paying 1% for people to store money, then lending that money out and earning 10%, 12%, sometimes even 20% or more in interest. That's not a glitch, that's the model. It's like running a lemonade stand where customers pay $5 per glass, and the lemons only cost you 50 cents. And the kicker? Most people are thrilled just to be in line for that stand, completely unaware of the profit happening behind the scenes. Here's the conflict. The average person is told, save money, put it in the bank, be responsible. Which is good advice for the 1970s. But today, with rising costs, minimal interest, and clever bank systems, that strategy might actually be slowing down financial growth instead of helping it. Of course, this doesn't mean savings accounts are bad. They still have a purpose. They offer liquidity, easy access to money when it's needed. They're safer than stuffing cash in a drawer. And for emergency funds, they still make sense. But here's what's crucial to understand. They should be used strategically, not emotionally. Think of your savings account like a parking lot. It's a place to pause, not a place to live. It should be where money waits before it goes somewhere smarter. That could mean high-yield accounts. It could mean money market funds. It could mean diversified investments, stocks, bonds, index funds. Now here's where some people pause and get nervous. Investing, that sounds risky. And that's exactly what keeps most people stuck in place. Because banks? They've done a brilliant job positioning themselves as the safe option. But when safe means losing money slowly, is that really safety? Meanwhile, banks themselves aren't afraid of risk. They invest aggressively, they move money constantly, and they win. Big time. All while the average saver watches cents drip into their account each month and wonders why it's taking so long to get ahead. So what's the solution? It starts with awareness. Knowing that keeping large amounts of money in a low-interest account is like rowing against the current. It's tiring, slow, and frustrating. Then comes intention. choosing to treat savings as just one part of a bigger strategy, not the entire plan. Money needs to move, not recklessly, not carelessly, but deliberately. This is why the financially confident don't just save, they allocate. They set aside what's needed for emergencies. Then the rest? They look for growth. Because money, when left idle, doesn't just not grow. It gets quietly eaten by inflation, fees, and missed opportunities. Banks know this, but most customers don't. That's why so much marketing encourages saving for the future, but almost none of it explains how that future might already be shrinking behind the scenes. Here's the truth that changes everything. Banks aren't evil, but they are a business, and like any business, their goal is to profit. That profit often comes from people who don't ask questions, don't understand the system, and don't realize there's a better way. But that's not going to be the case anymore, because now the curtain's been pulled back. And the next time a savings account shows a few extra cents of interest, it won't feel like a win. It'll feel like a reminder that money doesn't grow just by being parked. It grows when it's placed on purpose, with eyes open, with systems that build, not just protect. Let banks use your money, but don't let them use your ignorance. Because once the game is understood, it's no longer a trap. It becomes a tool. That's the untold truth about savings accounts. Now, it's not just about saving, it's about winning with money. So, if this opened a new way of thinking, this is just the beginning. Stay sharp, stay curious, and don't let your money nap while the world moves fast. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Don't miss what's next.